So I need you all to understand one simple little thing before we start talking about Artemis. She isn't just a quirky, hot as fuck huntress most people see her as. She is a feral fucking animal that lives in the woods and doesn't blink twice at committing a brutal murder. So yeah, today we are talking about Artemis. I'm very excited for this one because if you can't tell, she is my favorite Greek goddess. All-time favorite, love her to death. I would do anything for her. I would die for her. I would kill for her. So Artemis, let's begin by talking about who exactly was Artemis. Artemis was known to be the goddess of the moon, the hunt, protector of women and girls. She is known for her followers that joined her in her hunting trips through the woods, known as Artemis's Hunt. As the goddess of the hunt, she was often depicted with a deer or hunting dog. She actually had plagues and other unexplained deaths attributed to her, as well as her brother Apollo, since it was considered that they would pierce the random people's hearts with one of their arrows. That's why they just suddenly dropped dead. She was also known as the Virgin Goddess and held her followers up to her standard of remaining a virgin. That was like the biggest deal. We'll get into some stories, but I've already told you one like about Callisto, where she punished one of her followers for losing their virginity. She was also the protector of forest creatures. Despite being a huntress herself, she protected them from cruelty and destruction. And while she did, I think, technically hunt for fun, for sport, she did honor the hunt. It wasn't just a brutal, oh, I want to kill all the animals kind of deal. She was actually worshipped as a secondary deity by most Greeks. There was a place in Asia Minor known as Ephesus in modern-day Turkey that worshipped her more directly, but it was also a slightly different interpretation of her. But regardless, there's actually a statue to Artemis there that is known as one of the 7 wonders of the world.
Hey everyone, ATAC here. Terra made a really bad error here. There is no statue to Artemis. I'm sorry, but there is no statue. What Terra is referring to was the Temple of Artemis. This was considered one of the ancient 7 wonders of the world and is no longer in Ephesus. However, the story of the temple is far more fascinating, and I encourage anyone who is interested to look into it. Again, Terra is very sorry about this misinformation. We don't try to do this on this platform at all, but if it makes you feel any better, Terra had to read all of the Iliad and the Odyssey, and now Terra's reading all of the history of Turkey. Hey, how's your readings going? Okay, good. All right, back to the video.
It's arguable this interpretation could be more akin to Cybele, but it is still Artemis. There's actually a hymn of how Artemis went to her father, Zeus, a few times and asked for a few different things. The few things were to keep her maidenhood forever, to have bows and arrows crafted by the Cyclops, and to be followed in the woods by chaste nymphs. This is how the hunt began, with the lesbian dream. So she just walked up to Dad like, Dad, I need a few things. Can you grant them to me? Haha, sure, sweetie. What do you want? Firstly, I want to keep my womanhood forever. Okay, you're not my child then, but whatever. Sure, whatever you want, kid. Secondly, how your thunderbolts were forged and Poseidon's trident was forged by the Cyclops. I want something like that. I think that's really cool, Dad. Sure, that's sensible, makes sense. Sure, whatever you want. And I want to be followed by cute lesbians. What? Trust me, I make sense. I make sense to myself. That's all that matters. I do need to make sense to you guys. I'm trying to teach here. What about lesbian friends? Yeah, she was followed by lesbian friends. It's the lesbian dream. So there's actually quite a few tales about Artemis. Not as many as some with her brother or her father or any of them, but she's actually pretty popular. So she's actually had to help her mother birth her brother, as she was born first before the goddess of childbirth prevented Leto from giving birth. Yeah, she was just born already and able to help her mom with her brother's birth. Mortal babies can do that too if they tried harder. They're just little wimps. Artemis, alongside her brother Apollo, would often seek vengeance towards all who slighted their mother Leto. One example is with the giant Titus, who had attempted to have his way with their mother, so the two hunted him down and killed him. There's also the mortal woman known as Niobe. She boasted how she had more and better children than Leto had. She had 7 daughters and 7 sons. So to punish her for her hubris, Artemis and Apollo individually took out each of the children by shooting them with arrows. Artemis killed all the girls, Apollo killed all the boys, and they stood there like, how that's what you get for fucking with our mother. This is what they did. Makes sense. Totally normal. There's one man named Acton, I believe, Acton, final answer, who had accidentally stumbled upon her while she was bathing in a river. Due to this, she cursed him by turning him into a deer and letting his hunting dogs rip him apart. I told you, this bitch feral. She is not as sweet and kind as people might think. She's a wild animal, and I love her for it. You keep going, queen. Artemis also was responsible for killing a lover of Aphrodite's, potentially. There's two different stories with him. There was a man named Adonis who was known as the most beautiful man in all the world, and he was a lover of Aphrodite, of course. Adonis had claimed that he was a much better hunter than Artemis in one version, so Artemis sent a boar after him that impaled him. Another tale says she did this because Aphrodite caused a hunter of hers, Hippolytus, to be killed. Another telling has the boar being sent after Adonis by Ares because he was a jealous lover, but who knows? It was a boar, that's all we know, is some boar. There was another man that she would often hunt with as well, named Daphnis. He was a son of Hermes who would often join her hunts and play the panpipes for her. So Artemis wasn't completely no men allowed in my neighborhood. They just had to be respectful men. There was another hunter as well who was named Protes. Protes refused to honor Artemis and claimed nothing could hurt him. He was hot, indestructible, 21 balls of steel, nothing could touch him, indestructible. And so Artemis made him go absolutely insane and walk into a fire to burn to death. Normal behavior, you know. Some of these tales are just fucked up. You guys will learn more of these. I can't wait. Okay, this one is gonna be the most fucked up of them. So, keep that in mind. Content warning for, sexual violence. I mean, that's a lot of these Greek tales, not gonna lie. There's a lot of it taking advantage of. I'm gonna go pull up my trigger warning picture. Until it goes away, just know that we're talking about bad stuff. So, there was a epic written by Nonus called Dionysia? I'm not sure how that's not be pronounced. There was a girl named Aura. Aura was a follower of Artemis, and one day she looked at Artemis and goes, "You can't be a virgin, your tits are way too big." Basically said that she made fun of how large her breasts were, saying she was too curvy to be a virgin. Aura also claimed that her own stature and man breast made her the better virgin. So Artemis, of course, was like, did she just really fucking say that to me? Did you really just call me a hoe because my tits are big? Because she wanted a little bit of payback, she went up with her good pal Nemesis, who was the goddess of retribution. She asked for Aura to be punished. So Nemesis, being just as insane as some of the other goddesses, had decided that since Aura was so proud of her virginity, she would lose it. So Nemesis went to Eros, had him shoot Dionysus with one of the arrows to fall in love with Aura. And Dionysus, being Dionysus, took advantage of Aura. More stories about Dionysus like that later. She ended up pregnant because of this, and bore twins as a result. Let me get to that. So Aura went insane after she became pregnant and became a deranged killer. She just went on a killing spree, bloodshed. She went nuts, as Artemis just mocked her the entire time. Aura tried to herself while pregnant, or cut open her own belly, but gave birth to twins and actually ate one of them, while the other was whisked away by Artemis. It's fucked up. Like, Artemis, I understand, but that's a little much, don't you think? I'm gonna put the content warning away for a minute. It's safe now, you can come back. There were also the twin giant sons of Poseidon, Otis, and Ephialtes. Ephialtes? I don't know. Who claimed that they were tall enough, when they were tall enough to reach Mount Olympus, they would take Hera and Aphrodite as wives. In one telling of this, Artemis... Did I put Aphrodite? Was I supposed to put Artemis there? I'll find out in post, I guess. In one telling of this, Artemis either sent a doe or changed into a doe who jumped out between them on a hunting trip, causing them to accidentally spear each other and kill each other. Kind of like this. I'll draw a representation of it to make up for the trauma that I just caused. So here's the big giant. He's gonna yeet his spear. That definitely does not look like he's doing anything else, I promise. Especially when I add the other hand. Here's the other giant, also with his spear. He's missing a leg, I just realized. Speed draw. They look like they're doing a ballet almost. And then Artemis here, disguised as a deer. You can tell I played Gartic Phone when I draw weight this quickly. Jumping between them, laughing like, haha. As these two threw the spears into each other. This is exactly what happened. Perfect representation, I don't want to hear anything. So the next thing I want to talk about is a famous person known to have interacted with Artemis, who is named Orion. So Orion, you guys might know as a constellation, you might not, but there's a constellation called Orion. It looks just like this photo. There's a few different tellings of Artemis and Orion, but Orion was a mortal man who was a hunter. One day, he met Artemis and her mother Leto, and Artemis and him became hunting partners. In some tellings, she started to fall in love with him, but this may also just be a strong friendship between them. Please respect that Artemis wants to be single and doesn't want men, at the very least. Orion, as a hunter, said that he wanted to kill one of every beast on the planet, which upset the titan of the earth, Gaia. Gaia, in this telling, sent a giant scorpion to kill Orion, and after killing the scorpion, Artemis had Orion placed among the stars. In some tellings, they also made Orion just another pervert who either made advances on Artemis or one of her followers, and thus was killed by Artemis for it instead. In one telling where Artemis fell in love with him, written by the poet Istrus, Apollo was angered that his sister had fallen in love, and took her far away to hunt, and pointed to where Orion was swimming far off in the ocean and said, "I bet you can't hit that speck way out there." And Artemis, being the prideful huntress she is, made the shot at him, hit him, and killed the man that she loved in her haste to prove herself the better hunter. And this was done in a telling where she was supposed to get married to him. They were engaged, and Apollo was so angered by this. I'll draw this representation too. We'll make orange Apollo. I don't know why his hair's like this, but go with it. He's got really long arms. That's what happens when you're a hunter. I'll give Artemis really long arms too. I'll make her green. I'm sorry, her arms aren't long enough. And give her the bow. I'm gonna draw Earth in the background, because they're definitely in space for whatever reason. I only know how to draw one continent really well. That's all I know how to do. I mean, it makes sense. They're in Greece, so this would make the most sense. I'm not gonna spend too much time. Then ask me why Artemis and Apollo are in space. Sometimes you just want to go visit space for a little bit. And then Apollo was just like, "Bet you'll miss." And Artemis just goes, "Nuh-uh," and shoots an arrow down to Earth, hitting this little red dot here. Maybe that's where Greece is. And striking Orion and killing him. And thus she pulled him and put him among the stars next to where her and her brother killed him. So last but not least, with the stories of Artemis, I need to talk about this one. The one that was most important for the last session of Artemis is called Iphigenia. So I read the play based on the story by Euripides. In fact, I literally have the script sitting right behind me. So let me paraphrase it a little bit for you. She was the daughter of King Agamemnon of Mycenae and Clytemnestra. Agamemnon was the brother of Menelaus, the one who was going to marry Helen of Troy before Paris stole her away. We're not talking about that yet. Hold on. There's not time for the Odyssey yet. It's not time for the Odyssey yet. We're still before the Odyssey. This happens before the Odyssey. This happens before the Trojan War. So Menelaus wanted to sail off to Troy to reclaim Helen, and thus gathered an army of strong warriors such as his brother, Odysseus, Achilles, and more. Well, they made camp to prepare at the city of Aulis. They actually went hunting and killed some of Artemis's sacred deer, which of course invoked her wrath and made her still the winds of the areas where they could not leave. The oracle Calchas was called upon, and he came to say what they needed to do to fix this. He told them that Agamemnon must sacrifice his own daughter to Artemis in order to appease her. So Menelaus begged his brother to consider it, to please do it for him, that it was so necessary that he get over to Troy and get his wife back, that he should just sacrifice his own daughter. Sure. So since he was convinced, Agamemnon sent a letter for his daughter to be fetched, telling his wife Clytemnestra, that Iphigenia was going to be wed to Achilles. He did not inform Achilles of this, by the way. So Calchas prepared the sacrifices as Iphigenia and Clytemnestra started making their way to them. Clytemnestra arrives with her daughter, and while Agamemnon was off doing preparations, she spoke to Achilles and learned that he had no intention of marrying her daughter. So they both wondered what Agamemnon was planning. At this moment, an attendant of Agamemnon appears and reveals Agamemnon's plan to sacrifice their daughter. In this interpretation that I had read, interpreter decided to have this attendant be Odysseus himself, which is a neat idea in my opinion to have him be the one to reveal this, honestly. Especially with some of the stuff later, but we'll get there. Probably worried about his heel. So Iphigenia and Clytemnestra are obviously upset by the fact that Iphigenia is being offered as a sacrifice by her father. But Iphigenia suddenly agrees to be sacrificed, that if her father is so determined to do it, that she must be a good daughter and obey. Don't think that's right, but in some tellings, Artemis actually steals her away in the moment that she is sacrificed, and she hid her away towns over, leaving everyone to believe that she was dead until her brother found her many years later, like over 10 years, after the Trojan War and everything had happened. Because of this, I decided to make Artemis, having taken her away, also grant her the power of being an oracle, basically being a speaker for Artemis and always having her protection watching over her. And made her immortal, because that's what gods do. They make the fair people immortal. The death of Iphigenia also causes Clytemnestra to vow to one day get her revenge on Agamemnon. But that's another story that we'll get to later when we start talking about the Odyssey, Troy, everything with that. So yeah, that is our Greek goddess Artemis. The best goddess, in my opinion. I adore her more than anything else. She is absolutely my favorite. If you guys enjoyed that lesson, I know it was a shorter one. It only took like 30 minutes. It's not that bad. I know they only had 4 slides, but there's honestly not a lot of stories about Artemis, which makes me, personally, as a person who adores Artemis and everything she does and supports her in every way, even if she's killing people, it makes me very sad. You think I would learn by now what all I need to set up before I start the stream? I think I would know. I've been doing this for months now. But I am a fool. You guys need to understand this. I will never learn. I refuse to learn anything. Except for about ancient Greece. I'll learn stuff about that. Keep that in. Editor, I don't know which one of us is editing right now. But you keep that in, you hear me? As long as you got it, Chief. I trust you.